Hello and welcome. Get ready for an episode that dives deep into the world of healing, intuition and transformation. Today's guest, Suzanne Dennehy, is not just a professional hypnotherapist. She's a powerhouse of compassion, resilience and wisdom. From her beginnings as a nurse through a journey shaped by personal trauma, Suzanne has built an extraordinary toolkit of complementary therapies, blending deep tissue massage, reflexology, EFT, and aromatherapy with the profound power of hypnotherapy. Suzanne's story isn't just about helping others, it's about a relentless quest for personal growth and healing, and meeting every client where they are whilst guiding them toward real, lasting change. Suzanne Dennehy brings not only her wealth of expertise, but also the heartfelt drive to make a real difference for her clients, for herself, and for the field of hypnotherapy itself. All on today's Professional Hypnotherapist podcast.
I trained as a nurse originally, and I qualified in 1991. So I was a general and paediatric nurse. And I was introduced to complementary therapies at that stage by a colleague. So she was training and practicing her reflexology on us. So I actually started my journey of complementary therapies in 2003 when I trained in massage. And then I continued on in different ones. But there was a lot of issues that occurred in my own life that I suppose you could say resulted in trauma. And I was still trying to find my journey. And I remember going one time to a counsellor and she said, people that get involved in complementary therapies, they do so to heal themselves. And I remember at the time being quite offended as a therapist, thinking, you know, that's an awful thing to say to me. But as I journeyed through life, I began to realise that, yeah, absolutely, because the experiences that each of us have as a person actually make us much better therapists. And you meet the people who need the learning that you've had on your journey to help them on their journey. So it has been profound. And eventually I continued working as a nurse and using my complementary therapies on kind of part-time. And eventually I got injured at work. And life brought me to a halt. And I needed to find something that I could work in that I would be able to do my complementary therapies or work in another way, but not so physical. And I had been searching. And eventually I came across the hypnotherapy. And I trained with the UK College of Hypnosis and Hypnotherapy in 2024. And it has been a fantastic journey, but it has also been a key for a lot of the therapies that I do in helping people to move on. Because sometimes people come for a massage or they come for reflexology, but they actually need more. And they decide what they want to do. We do it in collaboration with regards to what they need. They decide their journey. And I've just found it just an amazing journey for myself. So I'm at this point now where I'm really looking forward to continuing working with people in a different way.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I suppose it comes round to the point of, there comes a time when it's the right time for everything. Now, tell us about the specific complementary therapies that you refer to. What specifically are they?
I trained originally in massage, so I do deep tissue massage, and I use it in my own way for what the client needs, because you can train in specific skills, but you really do need to adapt them to your own way of doing things so that you can give the best of yourself to your client. I also am trained in reflexology. I trained in EFT, emotional freedom technique. And I have also done aromatherapy. I've done lots of different skills really. But I have the way I work is I bring everything to the table. And I'm kind of guided, I suppose. I use my intuition. I'm kind of guided as to what it is I need to do um, with the clients. And of course, I use them, with their consent. So they decide what they want to do. I might make a suggestion, and they decide what they want to use then.
And I've heard of Swedish massage. Was it Swedish massage you did?
No, I did deep tissue massage.
Deep tissue. I beg your pardon.
Yes,
Okay.
Swedish is a lighter touch,
Right.
um, but that like this, the strokes in Swedish massage are incorporated in my deep
Mhm.
tissue massage. So
Yeah.
the massage can be tailored, can be light, can be deep,
Yeah.
depending on what the
Mhm.
client requires. I also did Indian head massage, which is it's a different technique, but it's like you're using the back and the head you're working on, So um, and actually, when you think about the therapies, all the different therapies, they're all connected because with reflexology, you're working on zones in the feet. And when you work on the zones in the feet, um, you're working on the whole body. And again, with massage, you're relaxing the vagus system. You're trying to stimulate relaxation. So all of them work towards that.
Mm. Mm. You're probably very familiar with Van der Kolk, the whole area of the somatic, the body tells the story. So would you
Yeah.
comment on that in terms of how the body holds, the trauma or the pain? If I'm saying that incorrect, tell me.
Yeah. You are. And actually, that's what I find through the work that I do. Um, and hypnosis is amazing with that as well. Um, as you work with clients, if I just do hypnosis alone, sometimes I just work with hypnosis alone. And with hypnosis, when I have a specific client that she's been through a lot of different issues. And when she goes deep into hypnosis, she experiences pain in different parts of her body. And that's emotional pain. You store emotional pain in different parts of your body. And when you can go deep enough, you can release it. So when you're stimulating the vagus system, you're trying to relax the whole body to allow the pain to go. Um, I'm not sure how else I can sort of explain that, but and a good way to explain it is initially we when we're born, we're actually born free. You don't really have any experiences in life, and the you have the startle reflex. So something happens and it can startle you, and you have a reaction to that. As life goes on, other things can startle you, and you start to internalize the um, I suppose the patterns, you internalize them and they get stored in your body in different places. And it depends on what the emotion is. It can be anger, it can be grief, it can be whatever it is. But we learn to subdue, as we get older, we learn to subdue those emotions. But they have to go somewhere. And unless we release them, if you release them, they can go and you can move on freely. But if you don't release them, they are stored within the body. And it's actually deep in the brain. You have them, um, but your conscious brain isn't dealing with it. And often when you react to something and you go, I don't know where that came from. We'll say if you've been very angry over something, I don't know where that came from. It's actually coming from a memory stored deep in your brain and your subconscious. And you're reacting without knowing what you're reacting from. When we use hypnosis, it can help to release that without having to go too deep into what the issue is. You can actually release the pain gently. That's what I'm finding as I'm working more and more with people.
Yes. So you don't necessarily have to relive the event. You can be objective about it.
You can.
Look, yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, really.
yeah.
And I find it really fascinating that we can just I would have done counselling myself
Mm.
for a number of issues, and I would have found that for some people it's an absolutely wonderful way to go, and they can resolve stuff that way. For me, it wasn't, because I was so good at being able to deny, what was going on for me, that I didn't even know I was denying it. When I use therapies like this, I find that I can just bring it up and release it without any excess emotion. I don't have to get angry. I don't have to get frustrated. I just need to address it very gently. And that gentleness is what I would have needed to release emotion. And that gentleness with other clients that I come, they're finding that this is what works for them.
Mm. Wonderful. You mentioned there that gentleness, and I think that's important to give people to have them to feel safe and to be able to explore and to be able to express.
I think safety is a key. It's a very
Yeah.
important place to be. But sometimes people aren't aware that they that that they need that safety. So it's not necessary to mention about being safe. It's actually important for the body to feel that safety.
Okay. Okay.
And once you feel it, and you will say you relate well with your therapist, and you feel that safety, that's where you can let go. Um, yeah, sometimes using the word safety is not necessarily what someone wants to hear.
Okay.
We can all deny stuff. And for whatever reason it is, whatever experiences we've had in our life, um, we deal with things in our own way. And words, they used to say sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never harm you. That's not true. um, but that's why I think it's important to meet the person where they're at,
Yeah.
and to just allow them to express and feel whatever they feel without any agenda. And sometimes using the word safety can be an agenda.
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah, so I try not to do that if I can, depending on where
Probably
they
more of an
at.
enabling,
Yeah.
perhaps, an enabling process. Now, without giving away any, confidentialities or anything about any particular client, is there a specific case that comes to mind that you could, briefly refer to that comes to you into your consciousness, as it were?
Um, in relation to that type of issue, is that what
Yes,
you?
in relation
Yeah.
to the release, or if I'm saying the wrong words, you tell me.
Yeah. No, you're fine. That's good. Yes, there is somebody that comes to mind, and she actually came to me for nail biting. Believe it or not, she wanted to
Say
stop
that
biting
again.
her nails.
I missed that.
She came to me for nail biting. She wanted to stop
Oh,
biting
okay.
her nails,
Yeah.
and we did do it. You can do this very quickly, but it's as she was working with me, she began to kind of open up a little bit and find that there was other things that were kind of holding her back for the nail biting.
Mm.
And she ended up dealing with an issue from her childhood, um, which had been traumatic to her. So every time she would have stopped biting her nails, she would have reverted back to biting her nails again after a period of not doing it. And she'd had this history when she came to me. So she found that as we worked together and we used the hypnosis, that she was able to relax enough to actually discover that there was something that bothered her, and she was able to let that go. And I've been in touch with her since, and her nails are growing beautifully. She's very happy. Um,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful. Um, and I mean, I'm sure there are a plethora of other issues that you've dealt with specifically with clients. Um, in regards to the whole area of ethics and, being ethical, how does being ethical in your mind, in your opinion, enable a client to do that unfolding, if you want to call it that, enabling and in other words, what part does ethics and ethical practice play in all of this process?
That's a hard question. um, I think it's very important that I disclose exactly where I'm at, and I'm not a psychologist, or I don't have any of those particular skills. I'm a nurse. I have empathy. I have the ability to meet people where they're at. And then I'm also a complementary therapist, and I have the skills. And I explain all of that to people. And I explain what the hypnosis is all about. I think it's really important that the client knows the space they're in. They also know that disclosing personal information is, I suppose it's optional really to if they want to, but it's not necessary. And using hypnosis, it's often not necessary to go into anyone's deep personal information to deal with something. Um, and I think it's really important to know my limitations, for me to know my limitations and to know whether to refer or not refer, to further, to assist the person. And also just providing that safe space for them to feel safe in my space. That
Yeah,
they can make decisions that are right for them,
yeah.
if they want to stay, if they don't want to stay. All of those things come into play. Um, am I answering your question?
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. And thank you so
Yeah.
much for this because I think it's really important that, as therapists, we you mentioned a really important point is knowing your own limitations and
Mhm.
knowing when to refer it out. And in other words, if a client presents to you with a specific issue and it may bring up stuff in you.
Mhm.
It may, this, the whole area of transference and all of that. It's really important, I think, that, yeah, you've highlighted that and that to refer it out. If in doubt, refer it out,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
that's important. But
Yeah.
thank you for that, Suzanne. Now, now we're talking about all sorts of different things, and about the complementary therapies and the other works apart from hypnotherapy. But what was the one thing, in your opinion, that drew you into hypnosis and hypnotherapy per se? What was that, or what drew you there? If I'm asking the right question.
I suppose initially, I had trained in emotional freedom technique, and that's a tapping technique. And in a way, that's hypnosis, um,
Right.
because we're every day we're hypnotizing ourselves into whether what it is that, if you get engrossed in a book, if you're watching a TV show, and if you get really engrossed in it, you're in a hypnotized state, and or
Yeah.
just before you go to sleep, that's your hypnosis state, and that's where we want to reach. And with the tapping technique, you're tapping on meridians, but again, you're bringing your system down into that state where you can deal with information that you want to release or something you want to improve on. And I suppose that was an introduction without I realizing it at all. And then when I needed to change career, and I was looking for something to use, I was interested in hypnosis. I had previously gone for a number of sessions of hypnosis myself, and I suppose that was the second introduction into it. And then I was just drawn to it really,
Yeah.
because I felt that there was something else that I could do with people. I needed something else to help me to assist people even more, in a more profound and deeper way. Um, and I just fell in love with it after that. So that's
Great, great. I can see why people would be drawn to you because you have that calm nature about you, that enabling personality that facilitates that change, that
Thank
way
you.
of moving forward. And with regard to other questions I'm trying to come up with here, what would you say to a person out there, a prospective client, who is a little bit, let's say, iffy about hypnotherapy? What would you say to help them to make a better decision for themselves in terms of maybe opting for hypnotherapy or indeed other forms of complementary therapy?
Yeah. Well, I suppose for hypnotherapy in particular, I think a lot of people are a bit anxious or a bit nervous because they hear about
Yeah,
stage hypnosis and they'll have seen things on TV and things. And I would always say to them, you know, that's not what I do. It hasn't anything to do with that.
yeah,
And I would also reassure them that they're in control at all times and that they can stop at any time they want. So they're not going to sleep. I would say to the client, you're not going to sleep. You are fully conscious. You'll hear my voice. I'll be guiding you. You go as deep as you want to go, or you allow yourself to go. And at any point, if you feel uncomfortable, you would be able to just open your eyes and just, we can stop the process. And that seems to be very comforting for people. That no one likes to be out of control. No one likes to feel that they can't,
yeah.
that they might possibly go somewhere they don't want to go. Um, and that's not at all what I'd be involved in, and I wouldn't like to be involved in anything like that. I think the client is extremely important, and that's what I'm here. I'm here to facilitate them to make the change. And the other thing I would say to them is, I don't make the changes. I can't make anyone change, but I can facilitate them to make the changes that they want to make if they really want to do it.
Excellent. Thank you. If you could sum up in one sentence, Suzanne, why you do the work in hypnotherapy, why you do the work that you do, what would you say?
I would say that I have a big heart and that I am drawn to assisting people. And I
Yeah,
think that has been evident throughout my life in my nursing career. I'm a mother, I have 5 children, I'm a wife, I cared for my mother in law, I have continued to work with clients over the last 20 years. And I think I'm just born to be a giving person.
yeah,
And I just like to to be able to share the gifts that I have for the benefit of the person that I'm dealing with.
wonderful. That's a beautiful way of expressing it. Um, and we at the very beginning, you touched on the whole area of, uh, if I could express it this way, physician heal thyself. To the extent that we go out there and we are concerned about other people in terms of helping them. It's in many ways, we as therapists, as healers, that we get some sort of, what would you say we get out of it?
For me, people often ask me when I do therapies, they say, "Oh, do you get tired? It must be
Yeah,
hard for you." And I say,
yeah,
I never get tired doing this work. I absolutely love it. And they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
yeah.
So I do love what I do. So I get great um, benefit from using the gifts that I have for the betterment of others. I think this is what I'm born to do. And that's,
Yeah.
when I'm doing it, I'm in the right space.
Uh,
So
yeah.
I think,
Like, so go ahead.
I just think that therapists do this work a bit like what the counselor said to me long ago, that you're on this journey to heal yourself. I think I'm on this journey to fulfill what I was meant to do.
Mm.
That's what I think I'm on this journey for.
Uh, very powerful statement, a very beautiful statement to make, I think. And, I think that as therapists, we have to have that concern, I think, for other people so that we facilitate their change, their going where they want to go. I think that's really important. But at the same time, there's the element of being in business, isn't there?
There is, and I'm not very good at that side of this. I'm working on it. I'm improving on that because I have actually done a huge amount of work for free for people, but you don't always, it doesn't always benefit people to be giving your skills and your work for free.
Yeah,
Because what I've learned more recently and is that I have to value myself. I have to value the skills that I have to offer. In that value, money is just an exchange of energy. And when people exchange money, they have an expectation that they're going to get that improvement, but it's
yeah,
they have to do the work. So they do it with an investment for themselves. And I think I have learned that it is very important to actually charge for your work. And you can decide whatever that is for you or whatever. It can vary with clients if you decide that you need that someone can't afford it and they can pay less than you charge. You can make all those decisions, but you make it in the right space. But the exchange is extremely important. And having a value, having a specific cost on the work that you do is is you putting that value on what you do. And that's what I've learned. Um, and I'm I'm working on that.
yeah. I think that's really important that, as therapists, we have to value what we do and we have to charge appropriately, not exorbitantly, but appropriately. And because, as you say, it's
Appropriately.
an exchange of energy. It's
Yeah.
it's putting value on because if you get something for nothing, you have a tendency not to sort of value what happened. Whereas if
Mhm.
you have that investment both in terms of time and energy, but also in terms of money, um,
Yeah.
that there is a huge motivation to make that
Well,
change.
the other thing that I was in the privileged position of the fact that I was actually working full time. So for me to be able to do extra work and decide not to charge, um, was I needed to understand that that was a privilege for me to be able to do that. But I've also learned that the clients that receive, those that really did the work and wanted to do the work, they wanted to pay for it. They wanted to contribute to it. And some of the people that I would have worked with um, that didn't necessarily pay for the work didn't work as well as they could have because they kind of took it for granted.
Yeah,
Um, I'm now I'm now realizing because I'm out of work and stuff, realizing that as a therapist, I need to earn a living.
yeah,
So that's also important. That's something you need to take into account. There are overheads, there are expenses that need to be paid for, and charging is an important part of that. And I pay for services. I pay other therapists. I pay for whatever services I require, and I want to pay for those services.
yeah.
So I value them. And then it comes back to, do I value myself in order to be able to charge clients? Um, so
Yeah.
it's an important learning process.
It,
And
it is. It's really, really important, and I suppose it's something that, well, in my opinion, it's not spoken often enough about. I think it's important that any therapist out there, no matter from whichever discipline you come from, that you value yourself and that you charge appropriately.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
that's really important. Tell us now, Suzanne, where are you based?
I'm in Killarney, County Kerry. I'm
Okay.
just outside of Killarney. I'm in the area of Fussa.
Mm. Lovely, beautiful place, I'm sure.
It's lovely by the lakes. Yeah, it's lovely. Very
Yeah.
nice. I always call, I'll just tell a little story. Um, I lived in Killarney all my life. I was born in Killarney, grew up in Killarney, got married, continued to live in Killarney. And we went to America on one stage and with
Yeah.
my husband. And we visited, and I can't remember exactly where we went, but I remember going in somewhere. Killarney's the kingdom, as you know, the kingdom of Kerry. So we went somewhere, and I couldn't believe that the people that I met, they didn't know where Killarney was. Because to me, Killarney was the center of the world.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was, yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, we all sort of we all live in our own little kingdoms, in our own little
Yeah, we
minds, I
do. Yeah,
suppose. And
yeah,
the Americans, of course, the Americans themselves, for a huge nation, they're not very well-traveled people, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the one thing they did know about was my husband was wearing an orange shirt. They were calling him the Orange Irishman. So,
All right.
yeah, it didn't,
Sort of doesn't go together, does it?
no, no, it didn't go well.
Oh, excellent.
Uh,
Now, is there anything else that you'd like to tell our audience out there about Suzanne Dennehy? Because I have to say, I have really enjoyed speaking with you today. I can see why people, clients would want to come and, be helped by a person of your nature.
Thank you. Um, I'm not sure what I can say other than, I'm open, I'm available for business. I
Yeah,
love the work that I do.
yeah,
And I feel that, if anyone hears my voice on this podcast and they feel that they'd like to work with me, they'll be drawn to me and I would love to work with them. So I don't know that I'm not very good at promoting myself, but I would say that I have a lot to offer and I believe that I can assist people to bring out the best in themselves. And
yeah.
I'd love to be a part of their journey.
Wonderful. And of course, you've a huge life experience, Suzanne. I think, we forget that sometimes the life experience that we bring to our work um, is of enormous value and impact in the work that we do. And we perhaps don't consciously, we're not consciously aware of where we got this from, or that from, or where we get this skill from, or that other skill from. And I think that you have it in bucket loads, as we say. So thank you for that, Suzanne. How can we contact you?
At the moment, I'm working on my website. It's not up at the moment, but in time to come very shortly. It should have been ready for today, but it's not. The name of my business is the Prism Approach.
Say that
Um,
again.
the Prism Approach,
Okay.
and it's about shining a light. My logo is a triangle with a light, like a prism, and a light shining through it.
Yeah.
And the purpose of it is that when we shine a light on something, we can
Yeah.
broaden the perspective and really change our lives. So
Yeah.
at the moment, I can be found on the EAPH website, or people can contact me directly um, on my email address, which is su.maid@hotmail.com at the moment.
Yeah. Do you want to give out your phone number?
Yeah, it's 087
Yeah.
2515.
Two two five
2802515.
2515. Great. So that's 08728022515.
That's it. Yeah.
Wonderful. So the email is su.maid@hotmail.com.
Hotmail.com. That's it.
Wonderful. We'll put all of this up on the podcast anyway. And I all I can say is thank you so much, Suzanne. I
Thank you.
really, really enjoyed speaking with you today. I was looking forward to it, and you certainly have surpassed what are my expectations on the podcast today. So that was
Thank you
Suzanne
so much.
Dennehy from Kerry in Killarney in Kerry, the Kingdom. And we'll put all the details on the podcast page when we get processing it. And Suzanne, thank you so much for joining me here today. Take care.
Thank you so much, Aidan. It's my pleasure.